Hi and welcome everyone. It's Lavender Sky Panther with you on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 for a fun little card reading today. And I decided to come outside and it's hit and miss with some rain. So this might be a rather quick reading just to make sure we can get all three groups in before any potential rain. But the theme here today is also very strong with water and water energy. In fact, yeah, I was just strongly led to make this all about water today, and to the extent that I even have as my little props in my setting here, I have the Florida water. Let's see if you can see it there, the bottle of Florida water, and I have the little golden chalice to kind of go with that, and the whole idea of Florida and the fountain of youth and the water. In the background there we have the Caribbean Calcite that looks like some nice swirling beautiful clear Caribbean blue water with some sea foam on it. We have Amazonite, for the color, a little starfish represented there, a little Aqua votive candle in the background, little holder. So I also wanted to pull out these little blue glasses, also again water themed, and then we'll have our three groups to choose from. So for right now, feel free to choose one, two, or all three of the groups. I am going to go by the little blue cups here to make your selection, and we're just going to get right into this. So actually, I take that back. Literally take my hand back. What I want to say is too that a big driver of this mood and theme, and actually, even the little backdrop here, I've got the water, really the color of the water. We've got aquas and turquoise and some beautiful seafoam greens and other kinds of greens working here in the background. I was just inspired as I recently went on a trip up to see Silver Springs in Florida. I did mention or touch on that in a previous show, in previous reading, but I am going to include the YouTube video that I companioned with that former show, and it was all about the history of the springs and the natural springs in Florida. And I'm going to post that again in the description area below, because I think it's really worthwhile to take a look at that video, even if you only can catch part of it. I recommend the second half. All right, so anyway, let's just get back into this now. So our themes are actually, the group for you to choose from are going to be, cup one, we have this little seal, little figurine. Group two is going to be this whale, kind of a light violet plum color, mauve. And group three is going to be the seahorse. So let me just turn it a little bit there. So again, we've got 1, 2, or 3, and little starfish behind in the background, evident, reminds us you can't get it wrong. You're a star no matter what you choose, so go for it. And we'll get into your reading. I'm going to leave the little figurines there because actually I'm going to read the cards below. And just if this influences your decision further, I'll give you another chance if you want to change your mind, or maybe you're waffling between a couple of groups. And don't worry, check them all out if you like, and then just go with what clicks with you, with what, as they say, what resonates, and then you'll know you're fine. The other part of it is just exercising your intuition as far as which group you're going to pick, and that's not a bad thing ever. So the first group is coming from the Tarot of Atlantis group card deck. The second is coming from the Mermaid Tarot. And the third group, the deck used is the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle cards. All right, so here we go. We're going to get into it, and let's see what we got. All right, so the first up is the Atlantis cards. I am going to just move in because it's a pretty interesting little artwork on the back of that cover, on the back of the card. All right, and we flip it over, and you have number 6. And let's pan slowly over the card, move over it, and you've got these statues underwater. And it is called the Lovers, so love, choices, attraction, karmic relationship. Okay, well that's interesting. They choose to put karmic relationship because if you found this channel, you probably already know there's many types of love. If we're talking about the romantic love realm, you've got karmic relationship, soul relationship, you have, the twin flame notion, and they're all different types of love, right? Platonic relationships and friendships. So in this case, let's just kind of let me feel into what we are looking at. So they're paired together, they're built on a solid foundation. So whether you already have that love or are looking for it, it implies that it will be built on something solid. And even though they have the feminine kind of stepped back and the masculine in the foreground, they're kind of moving or looking in the same direction. And I'd like to just see, the mood of this is it's, things are pretty, calm in whatever is happening. They seem to be in an illumined kind of relationship where maybe they each possess a certain type of wisdom to keep that relationship strong. And, we've got sand beyond. It's not built on sand. Again, this is going to be a solid relationship, whether you're in it or looking for it next. And in that strength, though, the strength of this love or union is the balance of a strong feminine and a strong masculine. Now, maybe the masculine looks a little stronger, more dominant in this scene, but doesn't mean the feminine is any less strong. It's just showing maybe a little bit of favoring to the masculine side, which again, masculine can, just looking at a person's sex, if they're male or female, it's also if somebody is more action driven or more receiving kind of driven, or in the receptive mode, I should say. So if you're, are you in a more of a giving state or more of a receiving state, or are you equally balanced? So in this relationship coming up, it seems like there might be a little more give than take. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but the light above just reminds to look for that balance and have a soulful relationship where it is one that is as balanced as possible. There's going to be times where there's more give or more take or receiving. Sorry, I'm distracted by some kind of animal up in the tree above me. But either way, it looks like there is a divine or heavenly guiding light over the relationship. And again, they're walking together. They're looking the same direction, moving forward. So it's not like one's looking one way, one's looking the other way. So no matter what, it just feels very balanced. And even the water, it's not turbulent. It seems pretty calm. And so anyway, that's all I'm getting there. I don't know if anything pops up for you. This might be more of a reading that this time around where you really look at the card and see what feelings are evoked, in you when you look at the picture. And actually, I think I will go back to the top and move over the card one more time without speaking and just see if you feel anything coming through it. The water is very much about emotion and, you're feeling into things. So let me do that right now. Okay, again, it's the Lovers. Love, choices, attraction, karmic relationship. So I guess I'll just finish off with, even though I said that the masculine or giving energy seems a little more dominant in this scene, it's yes and no, because even though his posturing is like in the foreground and seemingly more grand and taller, his arms and stuff are also holding back. It's not like in a go forward driving defensive position. And with her, it's kind of like, okay, she's no waif here. She's solid. She's built solid. She can handle her own, and her own arm is in front of her, like she can protect herself. So again, it just seems like each one of these people in this relation are strong in and of their own right. They each have a separate pedestal that they're standing on. I mean, maybe it's joined, it's hard to say, but right now it looks like they each have literally their own pedestal. They're not putting one above the other, and that's what makes this a good harmonious relationship that has a chance, because it's built on a harmonious relationship. Each come, strong in and of their own right. They're not looking for, I think it was a huge disservice. If you may have liked that movie, what was it, with Jerry Maguire, where, the Renee Zellweger character goes, oh, you complete me. No, we are each complete in and of ourselves in a good, balanced, harmonious relationship. And what we each bring only strengthens each other. And when we can move in the same direction and with encouragement, of each other and not competition, that's what makes it strong. And I just feel like that's where this is at. Okay, things are rock solid. All right, so what kind of are you going to be able to bring and attract that kind of relationship in, if that's what you're looking for? Absolutely, but it depends on certain choices you make, what kind of love you are emitting out. If you can stand on your own strong, then you are going to attract this kind of relationship. If you're kind of waffling a little bit, it might take some karmic relationships to go through first, and those are pretty rocky and stormy traditionally, because they're designed to wake you up and get you to realize, learn and grow, a ton of aspects about yourself. And then you can move into the more soulful relationship. So I feel like this is a state of whether you are in that karmic relationship, but there's something better and you're looking to the light to find something more fulfilling, then eventually you will do the inner work and you will bring about the soul mate relationship you're looking for. And then if you're not there and you're in this karmic relationship, well, you're in an incredible state of learning. And I can't help but think about the sea theme, and that they're underwater, and like there's a school of fish, right? They call it a school of fish. And it's like our gorgeous planet here is a place of great learning, okay, and ancient wisdoms that come through in a variety of ways. The water reminds me also of a dream state where we could be getting a lot of ancient wisdoms through our dreams. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up right here, though. All the best to you for gorgeous right now, and we'll move on to group 2. Okay, hi group 2. You chose this little whale figurine, and we're going to move into your deck, which is the Mermaid Tarot. Let's see what you have. I did go ahead and look this up so I could bookmark it, so we can get right into the meaning from the companion guidebook. I feel like this time around we're going to read from there. I did include this card in a previous reading. I interpreted it whatever way I wanted to come out at that time for those energies. But we have a maiden here collecting, it looks like lotus flowers or lilies. And she has a couple of mystical, magical helpers, some kind of amphibian fairy, and a butterfly type fairy representing the water and the air, and also total transformation. And she's got the same coloring on her little dress as does the fairy with the wings. So maybe this is implying, well, even the amphibian, the frog, is also heavy into transformation when we go from the tadpole to the frog. So it looks like, she's at a state where she's in the middle of an action. So this might be, if this applies to you, that you're in the middle of some kind of a transformation or one that's about to happen. She's standing in the water, so she's very much into some emotions. Maybe there's some things to move and work through. But then once that happens, things are kind of bright and sunny. This bowl of the flowers just has such a happy mood and full of potential and full of happiness right there, right? And the color green is a very lively, very healthy color. So let's see what the book says, though. Okay, and so if you're kind of in an in-between state of something, it's showing you almost like, this reminds me of the Sun card in Tarot too. Like, she's kind of looking this way. She's kind of reaching back but looking forward. So she's kind of in a state of transition. But ultimately what she's heading for and what she's a part of collecting is whatever she needs in this growth state, in this growth period, to bring about a sunshine kind of moment, like all good things and golden moments. Okay, so let's see what the book has to say. It's actually, this deck is really beautiful if you're looking for certain decks and you like the idea of water or water theme. The Mermaid Tarot by Leeza, Robertson. I'll put this in the description area below. So I'm going to kind of have you looking at the card. It's 3 of Pentacles, so the number 3 might be significant to you as well. And I'll show you what the book kind of looks like on the inside, and I'm going to read it off camera because when I don't, things kind of blur in and out. That's the cover. Okay. Oh, and I like that. Just holding this in the background with my chalice. This might be an extra little bonus message. We have the number 3 on your card, and here's the number 3, and they're all celebrating, with golden opportunities, golden moments, and success is yours. Okay, so but let's get to see what the book says about this, and I will hover the camera over your card, and my apologies if it moves all over the place, but I'm doing this without a tripod on purpose. Okay, so here we go. Let me actually steady my hand. Have you heard the saying, many hands make light work? Everyone has special gifts and skills, and when people come together to help each other or collaborate, things get done quickly and harmoniously. The 3 of Pentacles reminds us that our differences are our strengths. We were never all meant to be the same. We can create something beautiful while working together. It could be as simple as Frog Queen or a mermaid and a sprite all coming together to harvest flowers for an upcoming celebration. When the card's upright, which it was, we have, now is the time to call on the talents of others. You may have a skill, but it is not enough to pull off what you want to create. You are going to need help from people who think and create differently than you. When you can build a team where everyone gets to play to their strengths, you will be unstoppable. Okay, now if this card were in the reverse, it wasn't, but I'm going to read it in case this applies to someone out there. You can resist help at your own detriment. You may think you can do this on your own, but you are wrong. Keep going down this path and you will end up wasting time and money you will never get back. Okay, I don't actually believe in anything that says you are right or you are wrong. Those are judgments. And if you don't have or see the full picture, you're likely making a false assessment, especially if it's in the negative. So I don't think you're wrong, and I don't think it's not that you don't have the power or talents to accomplish what you want to. But I would just emphasize what the point they're trying to drive home is, that it's time to ask for help and be okay with it, because we weren't brought to this planet just to be on our own, right? Someone once told me if you are born in a hospital, that is, you don't come into that nursery by yourself. There are lots of other little babies there. And so there's a time where, yes, we get a lot of work done on our own when we're on our own, or a lot of lessons that we can only learn in solitude and self-reflection. But for the most part, we're on this planet with tons of other living organisms, whether it's humans. Right now I'm outside surrounded by teeming with life. I've got some kind of bird warbling above me on the power lines. I see 2 other doves up there too with a nest. Something rustling in the trees. I still haven't identified what it is. It's kind of big. Cats traipsing by, parrots flying over the head, whatever. And then butterflies and, all kinds of things. So anyway, the point is we're not alone, literally, physically here on this planet. And we can retreat into hermit mode, but this is not time for that according to this card in this group if you selected it. Now I do have an extra little bonus card I used as the bookmark, and then I think I'm going to have to step this up because it might rain and I got to get to group 3. But this is another gorgeous card, and look at this. It is Knight of Cups, and look at, we even have, this is a beautiful synchronicity. We got the starfish down here below, the gorgeous glowing cup of the chalice, and in the back it's echoed with this starfish popped up out of nowhere. It fell on the ground, I didn't even know it was there, and we got the chalice. So let's see, you know what, I will try to get to the Knight of Cups. Let me just hover here. Let me see if I can get to it in the book. Looking with my other, moving with one hand here. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can get to it. Yeah, I think I can. I think it's worth getting to. Let's see what they have to say, because I like their little write-ups. I'm not really super familiar with this deck. I've only used it now and then because I don't really resonate so much with all of the water stuff. But it's beautiful. All right, let me just read it straight up. Let's see what we got. I'm going to read it off camera here. Okay. I'll try to keep my hand steady on the camera. So the Knight of Cups, leaning over the chalice as if it were a loving friend, the Knight of Cups gazes into the water. The chalice holds as if seeking something, perhaps a sign. Maybe he is a master scryer and has the ability to read beyond his reflection in the water. His blonde locks caress his temples as he concentrates on nothing but what is inside of this chalice. Then again, maybe I'm giving him far too much credit. Let's face it, it is not beyond this knight to get lost in his own reflection and forget the rest of the world exists. So when we find this card upright, it means the Knight of Cups is a hopeless romantic. Moments of solitude and internal reflection are not done as often as you would think when it comes to spiritual expansion. This knight definitely loves to indulge in this own fantasy world, one he has constructed to fit his vision of the world he wishes to live in. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, truthfully. However, it is very hard to focus on the here and now when the mind is attached to a moment that doesn't exist. Fantasy has its place, but illusions and delusion are dangerous and can cause more harm than good. Okay, well, and that's on, this is coming from page number 123. That means something to you, or that's also a number 6. Okay, now let me see if there's if the message in reverse is worth reading. You give me a moment. Yeah, let's read the reverse just in case there's a message in there for you, extra message. Okay, it is not uncommon for this knight to suffer from depression, especially when he realizes that the harsh reality of this world is closing in fast and eating away at the fantasy he has created. Melancholy and sullenness are indicators that this knight is no longer in control of his emotional well-being. Okay, well, that's not a happy note to end on, not that we have to. But I would just say that, of course, there are times when, we can get all wrapped up in the fantasy world and it's beautiful and romantic and epic. But then, you know, there's also times where we might look at that and go, oh, but wait a minute, that life that I would love to have that I'm seeing in that fantasy is not happening in the here and now. And that can bring about, you know, some pretty, you know, sad times perhaps. So I think it's just this is a good reminder to really look at yourself and know that, you know, just distinguish the difference between what is real and what is fantasy. And, you know, lean on the fantasy parts, just maybe if they inspire you and create, you know, inspire you to create things in your own imagination that will serve you. But if it gets to a point where it's not serving you, then kind of step away, maybe even splash some water on your face to wake yourself up a bit. And then maybe focus on some other tasks at hand in the quote-unquote real world to kind of snap you out of that and get you out of that sullen state. So like go wash dishes, go, you know, pick things up around your living area, tidy them up, something like that, just to kind of snap out of it, right? And there's times for both. There's times where it's beautiful to get swept up in a kind of a fantasy world, and especially depending on how, you know, beautiful it can be. And then maybe do other things too. Once you kind of snap out of it and find the balance, then use your own imagination to create what your, you know, perfect dream, you know, setting or reality would be. And maybe start writing. For some, journaling works. It doesn't for me personally. But maybe you start journaling, or you start writing your own creative story. And if you're not great at writing or don't feel you are, maybe you just start, you know, this is water theme, maybe get some watercolors. It can even be just like the cheapest set you can find, and just get a little brush out and some water, put it to paper, and just, you know, almost like a doodling, let your emotions and your imagination take you to some interesting places. Now, if you don't have the means to, say, go purchase watercolors in an art store or something, you can also, I think I've mentioned this before, be very creative with your imagination, and maybe that world is now then created with tea or coffee. You can steep some tea and use that as your watercolor, and use different types of teas with different tints to, you know, create a story. Maybe that's even more appropriate. Or I even remember back to when I was in preschool, when I must have been 2 years old. I'll never forget it. One of our first art projects, the teacher put some color with water on a paper, and they handed us some straws, and we blew on the, you know, the little puddle of color in different directions and created some artwork. So anyway, that's just what I'm getting for that. And for now, I wish you all the best, Group 2, and now we're going to move on to Group 3. Hi, Group 3. If you landed here, you selected this charming little seahorse. And we're going to get to your card, which is coming from the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle cards, which usually have a positive meaning. Oh, and by the way, you got 2 cards that hopped out together. So I'm going to pull them up side to side. Let me move the other decks away, the other cards. Okay. And so your messages, you got double messages. I'm just going to read them straight up for now. You have simplify your life. And I'm going to move over the card. And if I quicken this reading, it's just because I see rain looks a little more imminent. I'm not trying to do a rush on yours, but it is what it is if it starts raining, so I gotta maybe move through this a little quicker. It says eliminate clutter from your home and work life. Oh, let me read that again. Eliminate clutter from your home and work life to balance the flow of activities. Well, absolutely. I'm in that boat, and it seemed to be sinking, but I'm trying to, you know, get the water out as quickly as I can to continue on with decluttering. Actually, I don't like to say shoulds, woulds, or coulds, but I actually should be indoors doing the decluttering right now. I kind of escaped from it right now. So, but maybe that's a message for you too. Yes, stay on task with the decluttering. It does feel better. Things feel, they just feel fresher and more manageable if you can declutter, if you need to. Now, of course, if you're already living minimalist or minimalish, you're probably just fine. Maybe this, has a different message for you as far as what simplifying your life means. But anyway, maybe it means making more room if you can in your schedule for rest, or any number of things. But let's just go over this card. There are bubbles. She's got like a beautiful rainbow shooting out of her hand, or she's receiving it. I can't quite tell. Looks like little fairies flying about. Even the statue beyond is of an angel or a fairy. And lots of beautiful things happening in here. Butterfly. Okay, so that's that message. And then it was just pretty self-explanatory. Then we have self-employment. And it looks like she's holding an abalone shell that is shooting out little magical drops or pearls. And what else is happening here? Let's see what the message says. You're a born entrepreneur, and your business is surrounded by magical opportunities. That's a beautiful, positive message. So yeah, she's making it happen. She's taken action to create more and more for herself. But at the same time, what's being created is truly magical. Because when you think about a shell or an oyster or whatever is producing the pearls, I think there's typically one in a shell, and she's got a ton coming out of here, right? As many as she wants. And it's like she could do this all day, every day, no problem. She's not even breaking a sweat because she's learned the power of the inner balance. So she's using, I don't know if those are wings behind her, but she's balancing with her tail or whatever to stay poised while she's taking this action and while she's swept up into something. And so maybe that's just a friendly reminder, whatever you're trying to do or create with your self-employment, remember to keep a nice balance so the real magic can happen. Okay? And I think for your group, so when I look at it, okay, simplify your life and self-employment. And to me, this is the order that they popped out. And so it could be that you're in a period of transition right now. Look, she's, over here on the swing, but the water's, cascading down beyond her. It's almost looks like though it's dripping off the swing, even though it isn't, but it kind of has that illusion, that effect with the falls happening behind her. To me, this is somebody in the state of transition, but happy about it. Maybe you were recently let go, and at first you were crying because you were confused, or what does this mean now, or the uncertainty ahead. But this one, she's embracing it. She's like, okay, that rejection was my protection, to use another one of these little cliches, but they're true. A recent friend used that once, and to remind me about it, it's a friend in a recent conversation. So it's just, and she's looking to something magical. So both of them, looks like there's like a little magical fairy or nymph or something happening here. So in both cases, we've got these two figures that are connected in somehow with magic. Here it's to the outside of her, so maybe it's a reminder that there are things that are in our external that the divine hand sends in to help us out, and that's why she feels at ease and at peace. She is in transition though, because this is, we know, normally a water-faring person, and she's in the air, right? But she's able to, she believes that there's something else that's got her back, and so she can be very comfortable in her element and out of her element as well, right? So maybe that's just another message to just let it all go and trust the flow and trust there's something bigger taking care of things. And additionally, eliminate the clutter so you can go off and vacation or frolic or, take some kind of field trip, so you're not bound to your house. When you got a lot of clutter, you feel very mired and like stuck in the mud. She's free and up in the air, so she feels much lighter, literally, right? So maybe that's, again, driving home the message, just get up and do it. And if it feels overwhelming, just do one thing at a time. Like, look, I got these cups here. Like, even if it's decluttering and you want to donate to people less fortunate, somebody may really desperately want this plastic cup. Even like, to you, maybe it's nothing, not a big deal. To somebody, this could be their whole world. It's something they use every day. So maybe that will help you, if you get in the mind of donating, will help you depart with some things. Anyway, that's all I'm getting for that. So anyway, let's do, I wasn't going to, but I want to do a bonus card for your group, just because I'm feeling like those cards were so self-explanatory. I'm just going to come over here and randomly pick this card. Okay, which is interesting because it did come in the reverse, but I'm not going to read a reverse. And group 1 had this as well, so you might want to hop over to group 1. It was from a different deck, but it's the Lovers. So here we have this underwater scene, and what I'm getting, it was kind of hard for me to interpret this card when I first saw it. It's number 6, the Lovers, because I was having a hard time telling what was male and what was female, masculine and feminine. So it's a young man on the left and a young female mermaid on the right. Okay, so it's kind of like well, number 1 brought this up too. Like, there's a choice. What kind of relationship is this? Have you called in like a siren? Mermaid calls in. Has she called in a karmic relationship, or a soulmate, or a twin flame? And that's a whole nother discussion on its own. I'm not going to get into the twin flame notion. But it's almost like, yes, this is more of it's feeling more like a soul-based relationship. So you might be in one already, or you might be seeking that. So this is just maybe an extra little message to take a good look at yourself and where you're at now and where you want to be, and maybe imagine what kind of relationship really would be the best for you. This doesn't look like the quick, passionate, burning kind of thing. This looks like a slower getting to know each other intimately and better, knowing your own soul first so you can know another type energy. And I'm just saying, maybe look at yourself and imagine, because she's looking in the mirror that could almost be another, you know, or her if she were this young man living in this other world, you know, on land with the castle. Obviously she's in the water, she's in a different kind of world, but it's kind of like she's seeking that, you know, that oneness, that sameness, that it's almost like, I think with a twin flame, it's just my own personal point of view, or soul kind of mate connection. It's almost like the more you look at the other person, the more you kind of see yourself in that other person, and vice versa. It's a very interesting process. So I think that's what is being looked for. And if you don't see it around you, or you have zero prospects, then use your imagination more and go, you know, visit and daydream and go in your mind's eye and just kind of imagine a beautiful world, your ideal world. And then eventually, you know, it may come to pass and not just be a fairy tale anymore. You know, eventually it will come in, that ship will come in, right? But let me read from the book, because I like the definitions here, and I'm probably going to read it fast. I hope I don't get cut off, because it's looking stormy above me. So let me see if I can find your card real quick in this book. The way it's set up, it's kind of hard. They don't have the numbers tracking. Hang on. Give me a moment. And hang on with me one more minute. Number 6. Oh, here we go. All right, I'm going to read it rather quickly. So here's what the book looks like, and here we go. Okay. One of the longest relationships we have in our physical incarnation is the relationship with ourselves. We spend the majority of our lives trying to reconcile the two parts that make us whole, the physical and the vibrational. Sometimes we see it as experiencing two different lives via two totally different selves. In much the same way, our young mermaid tries to envision the world that she would be like as a human girl with a life on land. The relationship we have with ourselves is hard, messy, and oftentimes complicated. Why are we here? Why in this body? Why in this family? Why? Fill in the blank. The relationship we have with ourselves serves as a baseline for all other relationships in our physical experience. Learning to deal with the duplicitous self is therefore more important than most of us truly believe. Okay, when this card is upright, as it was, it says, the Lovers speaks of two energies, two pieces coming together to journey. It is a reconciliation of opposites for a more cohesive experience. This is the card of Gemini, the twin energies of the self as represented by our mermaid. Is she seeing the other part of who she is, or is she seeing who she wishes to be? This is one of the many questions the Lovers raises. Do you know what your other, what your other half even looks like? Can you even identify the energy that surrounds your vibrational self, the self not tainted with ego? Making time to get to know yourself is important. Making time to love and honor yourself is part of setting the foundation for all the relationships that come next. Okay, well, first of all, I don't enjoy when the notion of ego is vilified. No, our ego is an essential part of ourselves, an integral part of ourselves. So I don't really agree with that interpretation, but take what you will from what I just read. The ego is very much necessary part of us to navigate the 3D world, as we are also a part of the 5D, if not in the physical, in our memory and what we're striving for. But anyway, so in this interpretation, they're looking at it that it is her looking at herself, the version of her that would be on land. For me, I'm still going to go with my interpretation because it looks more like a young masculine who's living in a different world from her. But again, I don't look at it as two pieces necessarily coming together. I look at each piece is solid in and of itself, does not need any piece from the other to become complete, is already complete. But yes, obviously when they come together, they become, they grow in ways that you can't just grow when you're doing introspective and on your own. Okay, I'm going to move the camera for a second because we